Hello and welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Reacts. Today we're checking out a new one from Loxan Gnoggin about how you can't justify Jolteon. Let's hop in and see what he's talking about.
Squarespace. Forget everything you think you know about Jolteon right now. Just zap!
Alright, I didn't know too much about it already.
Is it a fox? No. Jolteon is a bug.
Okay, why did you just use
serious.
edit and any
First of all,
sound
Jolteon
effects?
learns the bug-type move Pin Missile. In fact, Pin Missile is incredibly important to its design. Back in Gen 1, it was pretty uncommon for Pokemon to learn moves that were not their own type or normal type, unless that move is particularly important to its overall design. Jolteon learns Agility and Double Kick too, but that's because it's fast. So
Well, hold on, to actually point out about some of that doesn't really work completely because Scyther cannot long cut. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, Scyther, it's got those giant ass sides, but it can't cut.
what's Pin Missile doing here then? Clearly, Jolteon is an insect. A bug.
What kind of thinking is a bug? You stupid?
No,
It's just got needles fall.
Desperate for a hooky intro. The bug thing's not really true, but... So hey, you want to know something funny? This video is sponsored by Squarespace, where you can put together your own website.
And we're back.
That's what I did years ago, except I didn't have my own link back then. Jolteon's cells generate a low level of electricity. This
shiny.
power is amplified by the static electricity in its fur, enabling the Pokemon to drop thunderbolts. The bristling fur is made of electrically charged needles. If it is
So it's just
angered
got
or
a needly
startled, the
tail?
fur all over its body bristles like sharp needles that pierce foes. Oh. Do you ever see a Jolteon that doesn't have its fur currently in sharp, spiky needle shapes? Poor thing, it's always startled or angered.
It's a
got anxiety.
porcupine.
It's like a shaky chihuahua, just feigning anger, but it's just scared.
Oh.
Scared that it's alive.
I know what can help it. Oh, Jolteon.
Ooh.
Well, hey, while I have you here, listen to Jolteon's breath.
Nope. I'm leaving. No
what?
time for furry fantasies. I've got bones to pick.
It's not furry stuff,
What?
it's scientific, I swear. Here's a Pokedex entry. Jolteon's lungs contain an organ that creates electricity. The crackling sound of electricity can be heard when it exhales.
Oh.
God,
that's
I'd hate to
interesting.
try and sleep while one is in the room, just... I
It probably
really do
won't be
enjoy
that
the lore Game
noisy.
Freak has been adding lately. Even when the Pokedex entries sort of retcon previous Dex entries, it's framed not as a retcon or just forgetting past Pokedex entries, but rather it's all framed as Pokemon professors gaining a new understanding of how things work. It's
That's
science.
kind of just how it is.
Once upon a time, all the Pokemon scientists knew was that it has cells that can produce electricity, but now they know that it's an organ in the lungs, and they probably figured that out by studying the thing's breath. And that's not random. Electro lungs do make some sense. Oh yeah,
Oh, wait,
this is a
isn't there like an
science
animal
video.
that
Put as
already
simply
is
as I
like that?
can, one of the easiest
Catfish or
ways to
something?
create electricity is to have a
Electric
difference
eel?
in particle charges. Atoms like being neutral, but their bodies are made up of neutrons, which are neutral, and protons, which are charged positively. They balance that out by having electrons orbit them, which are charged negatively. Balancing out that charge most of the time
Yeah, I mean,
is
yeah.
kind of what they want to do always. But you see, as things move around
Neutral.
and rub up against one another, energy gets transferred around. Easiest example is the balloon experiment. This isn't a balloon,
yes, I remember.
but I don't want to buy one. But if you rub a balloon on your head over and over
Mostly
again,
on your
you're
hair.
giving it energy. You're disturbing that balance. Your hair is pulling some of the electrons away from that balloon, and since
look
it
at that.
doesn't have enough negatively charged electrons, it is now positively charged.
Nice.
Meanwhile,
That's a
my
real
hair
experiment
has
you can
too
do.
many electrons, making it negatively charged. And opposites attract. So now when the balloon and hair are close enough, the hair kind of floats towards the balloon. The particles want
What
to
the-
become neutral again and are reaching for it. Please, can I have some more? And sometimes they balance out
It goes Oliver
all at
Twist on you.
once, which is what causes that shock from static electricity. This process
Oh,
is
yeah, the
happening
static
all
shock.
the time,
Oh, those always
everywhere.
hot.
Because, like, things move. And biology is
Everything's
super
moving.
cool and has taken advantage of this fact of life. And our cells are constantly using micro imbalances to move things around in our bodies, and even allow
Neat.
certain things to pass through cell walls. A stimulated
yeah.
cell will allow positively charged particles to just enter itself, like walking through a wall, as long as that wall is an
Nice.
open ion channel, thus
There it is,
making it
that's what's needed.
positively charged, which triggers an electrical current, which it can then turn into electrical pulses, which it can use to send signals to other parts of the body rapidly. And it does
That's
these
the
with
nerve cells.
electrolytes. Potassium, sodium, calcium, etc. Your body needs these to perform even the most basic of functions, because that's how it best creates those electrical imbalances to then
It's all
fix
science.
suddenly and send
It's all
signals.
scientific.
It's all just so cool. Oh. And of course, there's the famous electric eel, as well as a few other animals that take this same process with
What
electrolytes
the
and everything
hell
and
was
just
that?
multiply it
What was that
greatly in
creature that
special
was down
organs
here?
to
Y'all
achieve
see
enough
that?
charge for them to be able to actively use electricity. So then
Ow,
just
that hurts.
multiply that
Oh.
ability by injecting some fantasy media, and Jolteon isn't all that strange.
Just
I love science.
Just an
Another Dex
electrical
entry talks about it accumulating
freak
negative ions in the atmosphere to blast out 10,000 volt lightning bolts. And that's pretty legit. Not so much that
Damn.
number though. Numbers like this don't really mean anything. We did a whole video about that here. But it's these ions
look
that
at that.
create the charge imbalance. It's able to breathe those in and store them in its electro lung sac. And actually, it being in the lungs makes sense too.
Okay.
One of the main reasons our bodies rely on oxygen so
another
heavily
shiny
is just because of how
the background.
reactive it is to so many things. I mean, have you
Right there,
seen water
shiny.
and potassium? Hydrogen only has one electron, and oxygen, being the nice guy that he is, comes over and steals it. How polite.
Oh.
Boom, you made
Just
water.
making
And actually,
water. Yep.
electrolysis is the process of splitting water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen via an electric current. Though we're kind of
I've seen
trying
that.
to make
It's
an
cool.
electric current, not use one, so I'm not sure if that could be what Jolteon uses. But maybe Jolteon uses its naturally occurring current to store hydrogen to then later use as a sort of energy for its larger attacks. In fact, the
understand
whole
that.
hydrogen-oxygen reaction is what many people think are going to power future cars, with the only byproduct being water. No more
Well, the
pumping
thing is-
poison into the air, it's just mostly
And the thing is that we've created engines like that, but anytime one pops up, it just suddenly disappears along with the creator. I mean, yeah.
clean water. You just have to filter it a little bit. And technically, we already have the basics of this technology down, but
There you
people
go.
keep voting for oil executives to personally kill polar bears and minorities, so there isn't enough
Yep.
funding to really further the technology yet. But anyway,
Yeah,
that could be how
so you
Jolteon
say.
produces its electricity. I mean, it's in or near the lungs, so it's got access to oxygen and carbon dioxide. All it would
Oh,
need is
okay.
either some way to compress the oxygen or create hydrogen without being a huge factory. Or it could just be
Nice.
magic. Hydrogen isn't even the craziest way
Yeah,
of
you
making
don't know.
electricity.
Magic.
I mean, we all know about fossil fuels, which are
to
incorrectly
do that.
stated as liquid dinosaurs. I mean, technically some of it could theoretically be dinosaur, but
I get
most
that.
of it is ancient plants. But other ways are still way crazier, like stealing from the force field of air created by the magnetic field flux of the rotation of the Earth's iron core, which is in turn heated and cooled by the sun's heat, creating differences in pressure and movement. Hey, can I get that in English, please?
Using the magnetic field of the
Wind.
Earth for
Yeah,
power.
I meant to say wind. Heck, a
Wait,
hamster wheel is
what?
technically
Wind?
a bioenergy
Oh.
source. It's just not that great because bodies are very inefficient. Other weird ways include just getting it back from spent energy. That's right, cogeneration. It's when wasted heat from electricity generation is used for other means, normally heating.
That
because
clip,
it's
I don't know
already
what's from, but that was
heat.
funny.
That would take care of the most difficult part for Jolteon here, changing energy from one state to another. Or not state, more like type? Like
Yeah,
Pokemon
type.
type? You got your chemical type, like the
Oh.
hamster that eats food and turns them into chemicals and then converts those chemicals into the kinetic energy with the wheel. Then you have electric
Okay.
potential, like a bowling ball placed up on a shelf. It has all the energy of a falling bowling ball, but it's
at
trapped
that
by the
impotent.
shelf. Once you remove the shelf, you make kinetic energy. But back to the hamster. Ugh. But back to the
Damn,
hamster.
impotent.
We have chemical to kinetic, as it's moving its little legs that are powered by the food that it digests via its stomach. And those foodstuffs
Cute.
gained their energy by absorbing the sun's powerful rays and then turning them into usable energy via photosynthesis. And the sun gets its energy from
Creating sugar.
basically exploding. Just so much, all the time. Technically, almost all
Always
of the
exploding.
energy on Earth comes from the sun. So even Jolteon is technically solar powered. What if it's just breathing the sun?
Technically.
The only problem is that every time the energy is exchanged, it gets less efficient. So there's the sun, which is like 100% energy. And then there's the plant, which is able to store that energy as sugars and such, but it can't
Only
store
up
all
to
of it
about
because it has to
tenth
use some of
what
that energy
came
to
from it.
not die. Sort of a vital part of living. The same goes for animals. The animal eats the plant, and the animal uses that
And then
plant
only a
energy
tenth
to
of that.
energize itself, and also to store it, and also to not die. So then the animals that eat those animals
And a
You
tenth
see where
of
this
that.
is going. There's a reason most of the livestock we eat are herbivores. It'd just be so inefficient to like eat tigers. Where was I going with this? As you move
And it
up the
doesn't
food
taste
chain, you're
good.
getting less and
Well,
less
I
energy.
thought it's
So
meant to be
animals
very like a pneumonia
with magic
heat.
powers would need something other than food. I think that's where I was going with this. The organ in its lungs could possibly work as a crank, a
That's
tiny wheel in a little electric sac. It's got like wind turbines in there, so it collects ions from the air while also just
Not a bad
spinning. I
idea.
mean, it has to breathe
Painful,
anyway,
but not
so
a
why not
bad
also
idea.
generate electricity at the same time? And that spins a little doohickey or vibrates a little doohickey, and that little doohickey's got kinetic energy, and then it stores it because it's magic. It's like a
I mean, how
hybrid
does the
car
electric
charging its
eel make
batteries
its
by
power?
braking. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Jolteon. Jolteon, 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 Jolteon. No more talk of energy and electricity and explosions in the sky. Back to Pokemon, full stop. The Dex talks about how
Yeah,
it uses the
let's
sac
go.
in conjunction with its static electricity that it just builds up on its spines. And it could be that it uses its static to become extremely charged negatively to attract lightning, thus charging itself with the
That would actually make a lot of sense. Oh, hold on, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back.
powers of Mother Nature. But actually, we live in the future. So it's becoming more and more like the past. But very recently, we, as in scientists, not me, have figured out how to make energy from
We of the
thin air.
scientific community.
That's right. You see, there's this bacteria that we've known about for a while now, and it does some crazy stuff. Part of the Geobacter family, G. sulfur
Oh, I
reducins.
saw the shiny. It's in the back.
Sulfur reducins? It's a bacteria
There,
that can
see it?
produce electrically conductive protein nanowires. Crazy stuff.
That's
Anyways,
3
scientists
shiny
have
spotted.
used the nanowires to essentially make a miniature generator. I am not kidding when I say mini. It measures about 7 micrometers thick. You know how small that is? That's
Wow.
0.00276 inches. That number also doesn't help. Your average strand
That
of hair
is
is 75
very small.
micrometers, so it's as thick as a tenth of a hair. And here's how it works. Essentially, it absorbs water vapor that naturally exists in the atmosphere, and then it
Okay.
creates energy via a moisture gradient that creates a difference of protons over the nanowire. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to
Alright.
read the whole study because of scientific journals costing way too much for a casual like me. But what I gathered in essence via the summary is that the nanowire makes electricity because of the differences in the protons that are spread across a long distance, gaining energy from the humidity in the air. So if we were to take this and make it on a macro scale, we could get generators that
is-
would be perfect for places that solar panels don't work too reliably.
That
And
is
also,
actually an
because of this,
amazing
it's
idea.
totally viable that a creature with magical powers could have some sort of super complex arrangement of all of these nanowires in an organ in its lungs, and with every breath
its
it's able
lungs
to
could
get
just
new
straight up be made
humid
out of that.
oxygen to that surface area. It's just like how we all have a microbiome of good bacteria in our guts that let us digest food. Without them, we couldn't digest. We have a symbiotic
right.
relationship with them that we require to live. And Jolteon, I guess, just has a whole
makes
other
sense
part
now.
with a wholly unique kind of microbiome. Maybe. Technically
Hmm.
theoretical, but you know, that's the thing that makes the most sense to me. And on top of that, all the just static electricity that it builds up on its quills, that's just a bonus.
True.
And come to think of it, I guess that explanation with the bacteria could just explain electric type Pokemon as a whole, but the whole
That
lung
actually makes
organ
a lot
thing
more
is pretty
sense.
unique and strange. And I like strange things. I hope you do too. It's the perfect excuse to subscribe.
Oh, and I guess that was the end of the video. So, before this ad starts, I'm gonna say thank you all for joining me. I hope you all liked it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Down in the description is a link to the original video, so remember to support the original creator on all they do. And I'll see all of you folks next time. Have a good one.